Good morning, everybody. This morning there are two readings. The first is from Psalm 145. Psalm 145, verses 8 to 15. The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all he has made. All you have made will praise you, O Lord. Your saints will extol you. They will tell of the glory of your kingdom and speak of your might, so that all men may know of your mighty acts and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures through all generations. The Lord is faithful to all his promises and loving towards all he has made. The Lord upholds all those who fall and lifts up all who are bowed down. The eyes of all look to you, and you give them their food at the proper time. The second reading is from Matthew chapter 5, just the first 3 verses. Matthew 5, verses 1 to 3. Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you very much. Let's pray. Oh Lord, the crowds came and they heard, so may our ears be open and our hearts attentive that we might hear what you have to say and what the Spirit says to the churches. Amen. Countdown. You get 30 seconds to come up with a word or a song. So if I could right now, I'd ask you to get a piece of paper and say you've got 30 seconds to write me a definition of the word leader or leadership. I'd be intrigued to see what you'd write down. Would it be charisma, personality, a sense of presence, height? Would it be just some kind of something that you can't even really describe? There's just something about them that draws you to them. Again, I take that back to the idea of being charismatic. That's what we're told, isn't it? Oh, he's got presence. He has personality. How about this for a leader? 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives and that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggle here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. Is for us the living rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from those honoured dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, on this bit particular, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Now there's leadership. Does that not stir Abraham Lincoln? And this idea that men can, with speeches, lead us, whip us, guide us, bring us to a place. How about this? We go to liberate, not to conquer. We will not fly our flags in their country. We are entering Iraq to free a people, and the only flag which will be flown in that ancient land is their own. Show respect for them. Excuse me. They are some who are alive at this moment who will not be alive shortly. Those who do not wish to go on that journey, we will not send. But if you are ferocious in battle, remember to be magnanimous in victory. For Iraq is steeped in history. It is the site of the Garden of Eden and the Great Flood and the birthplace of Abraham. Tread lightly there. Another speech by Tim Collins on the eve of the Iraq War. And there are many more. We could all pull them. But I did Abraham Lincoln because yesterday was Independence Day in the United States of America. And I asked the word of leadership because, as an aside, before we look at what Jesus wants to say, you and I, whether we like it or not, are engaged in a great battle, as Abraham Lincoln said. This is a battle for a soul of a nation, where you're told today, this is the belief, these are the words, these are the concepts, this is what you must hold. Step outside of that. Say anything we don't agree with, and we will get rid of you. We will get you fired. We will come after you, because no, you cannot say those things. No, you cannot believe those things. No, you must believe as we say and stand where we stand, or you are evil. No debating anymore, no different opinion, no different conclusion. You disagree with me and I'm virtuous and I'm right because I put it on Twitter and Facebook. You disagree with me, therefore you're evil. That is the battle of the modern world. This is the leadership battle where we will say, government of the people, by the people, shall not perish from this earth. So shall not free speech, free assembly, the right to disagree. That's an aside, but I warn you, Christian believers, it's not a battle, like Tim Collins said, that you can ignore. Because it's coming for everyone who dares to step outside of this agenda. That's an aside, but it also is an issue of leadership. Great speeches, great men. But also remember, the world wants to tell you that in order to be a leader, you've got to sell yourself. You've got to believe in yourself. Reach inside and you can achieve anything. Remember that song? There are miracles if you believe. Just hold on, believe. You can accomplish anything if you just believe. There is nothing that you cannot do. You're told to sell yourself, change your job, sell yourself, believe in yourself. It's amazing what you can achieve if you just try. And I'm not putting that down, because men have achieved great things. I was reading a review of Ernest Bevin, and who came up with the Transport and General Workers Union. And all the things that man achieved. Churchill, whether we like whatever, he led this nation in a war of freedom. And yes, you can hear from my voice, I cherish liberty. I cherish freedom of speech, free assembly, disagreement, and I'm chilled to the bone by what's going on in our nation. For this is something we have to step up to the plate. And this diocese is constantly saying, grow leaders, find leaders, look for leaders. How do we find them? Well, the world says this way. This is the way leadership is. Follow me this way. I have got a great speech. Look at my charisma, my personality, my height. You find it in Corinth, where Paul is told his speech is contemptible and he is of small stature, because they fell for the charismatic big tall dudes who had every speech going and could inspire them. That's what they looked for. And they dismissed St. Paul because he was contemptible and small. So I want to say to you as a Christian, let's look at this then. This great speech of Abraham Lincoln, if it doesn't stir us, I don't know what will. Particularly in the world in which we live. Now, if we say Jesus Christ is a leader, if we as Christians declare that he was the Son of God incarnate, then he must want to say something to say it. So he says, he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. Now this is big, because when a Jewish teacher sat down, this was the point of teaching. This is where he had something he truly wants you to hear. His disciples came to him and he began to teach them. So obviously he's got something important to say. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed is happiness. But it's not sing along with me if you feel like a hole without a roof. If you're happy, clap your hands and let's dance around the room. That song, or any other song. This blessedness is a happiness it's as rooted as a tree. It's right down in the ground and it holds you. It's almost undescribable what this blessedness means. The happiness that you've got something that will not blow away like Sally's runner beans in the garden when the wind blows. And I don't know how anything grows in Blackpool with that wind. But this won't blow away like that. It's a deep-rooted thing. So let me say to you carefully this morning, if you are low and down, that's not wrong. But this blessedness says, when you look, and we'll come to this, when you look at the one who calls you by name, that rootedness holds you to take you through these dark times. So if you're sitting there saying, oh, I'm useless, I'm no good, I can't do it, I'm of no value, it's a satanic lie. Because this blessedness should hold you fast, because you are worthy in the godly sense that he would die for you. You are his child, and this blessedness should hold you strong, but poor in spirit. Now then, this is an interesting thing. For it says, yours is the kingdom of heaven. When he says poor in spirit, what he's basically saying is, come with me, if you will, and stand before the face of Almighty God on your own. And if you've never done it, you've never sat before him. What will you bring him? A £1 billion empire? Oh, woe is me, I'm of no value. Would you bring him the greatest essay ever written? Would you bring him a speech, by the people, for the people, shall not perish, and it hasn't? And they won the war and they freed the slaves, and they've still given us one of the greatest democracies on the face of the earth. And let no one please mock our democracy. This is worth fighting for. Because free speech, free assembly matters. You want the alternative, take a look. There's plenty of examples. So, blessed are the poor in spirit. So when you stand before God, it's saying, what can you bring in? What offering can you bring? Let's look at what Isaiah says. Oh, I am a man of unclean lips, and I have seen the glory of the Lord. The Lord has to come to him and say, don't be afraid. Moses, oh no, I have seen the back of the Lord. The Lord has to say, don't be afraid. Gideon, I have seen the Lord face to face. The angel, oh no. Yahweh says, be not afraid. John shakes like a dead man, and Jesus says, get up, don't be afraid. There are hundreds of examples of this. That when we human beings enter the presence of the thrice holy God, holy, 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 something happens to us. We see ourselves as he sees it. And everything we've built is, as Paul said, dung. And Paul, I think, struggled with pride. This was a clever man. Immensely clever man. He sat at the feet of one of the greatest Hebrew teachers and Hebrew scholars and rabbis of the generation. He sat down Gamaliel constantly, and Paul would have heard like Jesus teaching here. So Paul could boast. And he says it in one of his letters, you want me to boast? Well, here you go. This is what I've done. This is what I've achieved. But it is dung in the presence of Almighty God, because what is it to him who has everything? So what I'm suggesting this means is, when we see ourselves through the eyes of God, we get a perspective on who we truly are. What Martin Lloyd-Jones said once to, I've forgotten her name. Her name's gone. She was interviewed by her. You'll remember her name. John Bakewell. And he said, the problem is we make too little of man and we make too much of him. And that's what I think this means. We make too little of ourselves. Oh, I'm no good. I don't measure up. I've got to keep up with the Joneses. I'm jealous they've got, Alan and Mansell. They've got a car that I haven't got. Or, look at me, aren't I great? Aren't I wonderful? Worship me. The balance is in the middle. That we see ourselves as he sees us. And yes, here's another aside. Those men that saw the face of God fell on their face that they had seen the Holy One. Do you know what we're getting in church today? We're getting glitter from a ceiling that's coming down and saying, there's the presence of God. We're getting people going around going, fire! And then they're running around with the coats off. That's not fire. That's not the Spirit. That's a counterfeit gospel. And it will never, ever be preached from this church. Because it's wrong. And then the next thing is they want your money. And they come out with a great speech. Or they tell you, as I heard, are you ready? Jesus was fully human and was reborn in hell. Or they'll tell you, it's a word of faith, speak it and it's yours, claim it. Just say it and it's all yours. This is why I'm trying to do this sermon together with leadership, because these are the leaders in the church that are preaching this gospel, and they are taking people with them with words like, if I can use it like Lincoln's, wonderful words that inspire and encourage, and it's a lie. And it's not leadership. Because they've not looked at themselves in the presence of God. They say, oh, I'm anointed. I have the anointing and I can give it you. And I could name them. And I've seen some of the big churches start to preach this stuff. Some of the big churches start to preach this stuff. And I'm saying again, their leaders are great in their own way and in their own eyes, but they are wrong. Because if the Holy One of Israel, if the thrice holy God appears right now, I'm on the floor on my face. I'm not rolling around laughing. I'm not watching sparkles come from the ceiling. I'm not asking someone to take the coat off and run around and bark like a dog. Because if the Holy One comes, like you saw in there, we end up on our faces, and it's not a pleasant place to be. Because this is another thing. God rips us apart. This is what this says. Before there is a filling, there is an emptying. The acknowledging that we are poor in spirit. That though we can do things, it is of nothing to God. That we must come before him, and out must we go, and in must he come. And then the battle begins, like Paul says. The things I don't want to do, I do. The things I don't want to, etc. That battle in the spirit, the war that goes on. Blessed are the poor in spirit. So it's an acknowledgement that before God we have nothing to bring. But once we see as he sees, look what happens to Isaiah. Who will go for us? I will. Moses brings the people of Israel out of the wilderness. Gideon, what does Gideon do? He leads them. Why? Because they came face to face with Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel. They were emptied, they were filled by the Spirit, and out they went. And what happens when they did all this? Where did the glory go? It went to him. So that's not saying if you play the piano you can't enjoy it and be proud of it and be proud of what you achieve. No, that's not saying that at all. If you've got a doctorate and you've worked for it and you've built a business, not saying, oh, that's false humility. That's the old medieval idea of whip myself. You can be proud of it. Of course you can. But what Jesus is getting at here is, where does the glory go? Does it go to you? Oh, look at me, I'm great. Or does it go to him because he's given you that gift? And you can play that piano and bring people in to dance and sing and run around in the Lord. Why? Because you're giving the glory to him. Not because, and please hear my heart, and I'm not going to go at no one, not because you can play and you want to be seen up here. And it becomes a concert when everyone's looking at you because you're a great musician or a great preacher, sir, yes. Where does the glory go? That's the essence of this. To whom does the glory go? What did Jess preach last week? Something that I reckon everyone went, whoa! That the King of Israel will say, I have no idea what to do. I'm lost. What do I do? Lord help me. Can you imagine if a leader said that? If you were appointing a vicar, what's your vision for this church? I don't know. Don't think I've really got one. I'll pray. Would you appoint that man? Would you appoint someone that said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to be humble and fast and pray? Or would you look for a nice suited, clever, charismatic, big, tall man that, way, I've got a grip of this? Go back to the beginning. What kind of leader do you look for? Because this matters. Because Jesus sat down. And if we believe he is the Son of God, everything that we're going to preach and look at over the next few weeks, blessed are those who mourn, not preaching from it, meek, hunger, thirst, righteousness, mercy, all flows from this. None of this will happen or make any sense if we don't think we're poor in spirit. And again, let me repeat, please, so no one misunderstands me, that doesn't mean you go around saying, I'm a horrible human being, and I'm very unlovable and not worthy of love. And I'm not mocking. No, it's a lie. Nor does it mean you go and say, look at me, I'm just the most wonderful preacher in the world. I'm phenomenal, I'm great. The question is, once you see yourself as God sees you, do you see this? You can't say that you're nothing. You've got a gift. He died for you. He says, follow me. You follow me. And by the way, yours is the kingdom of heaven. That's your inheritance. So you have something to offer in church to the glory of God. If you're a great musician with a doctorate in whatever, you have something to offer, not because it's you, but because it's him. And where does the glory go? It goes to him. And I'm suggesting that if we do this as a church, that people will see it. And they'll say, what have you got that's different? And they'll see something in us that they might want. That they can know their gifts, treasure their gifts, use their gifts. You don't lose your personality. The Apostle Peter doesn't lose his personality. Oh, go away from me, Lord, I'm a sinful man. Peter's still Peter. He's still that kind of character that doesn't think, he rushes, he jumps into the sea. When he sees the resurrected Jesus, he jumps and he swims, but he doesn't get to the shore. Because he's like, whoa, hang on, I denied him. What am I doing? He's still Peter. He doesn't lose your personality. But he takes you and he shapes you in his image. And I'm repeating, as we go through these weeks, that's not pleasant. It hurts. Because a battle begins with should I? And then you begin to pray and begin to be formed. And that's what church should be, that we're together, reading, teaching, discussing, holding, uplifting, encouraging, and being accountable to one another. That's what I think this means. Poor in spirit is the acknowledgement that if we try to do it by our own ends, it's done. And I'm going to suggest the one thing that separates us from many religions is most of them tell you you've got to do it by your own strength, your own power, that you can achieve it, and if not, come back and do it again. Go on a pilgrimage, say a few prayers X amount of times a day, say Hail Marys 10 times, this will work, that will work, this is it. Our faith says no. There is absolutely nothing you can do. How big you are, Roman Abramovich can't buy this, even if he's worth 80 billion quid. No one can buy it. It's a free gift of grace, and it must just be accepted by confessing and believing. Simple. And your sins are forgiven. So whatever you feel for yourself this morning, however happy or low, listen, please, come into this presence and let the Holy One of Israel come near you. Not laughing like a dog, not barking, not rolling around, but in his holy presence he will uplift you and say this, watch, do not be afraid, it is I. Get up, walk with me. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Yours is the kingdom of heaven. Hear that? It belongs to you. It's your inheritance. And when the will's read out, that's what you will hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter your rest, or if I may be allowed, your inheritance, the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because you know where you stand. You know where your sins are forgiven. You know where the glory goes, and you know that what you do is a blessing to you. Of course it is. But the glory goes to him. And you point always back to him, like St. Paul. No, I could boast, but I don't. I came to you in fear and trembling. I could have boasted, but I didn't. I boast in only one thing, the cross of Christ, which is foolishness to the Gentiles, as he says, to the unbelievers, to the secular, and it's scandalous to the Jewish people. This faith will do this. Always, it will bring us front and centre with what is a human being. And I go back to the beginning, if I may. We as Christians, as leaders, have got to have this message. Because this war in our land, this cultural war, is not going away. And it's coming to the church as well. And if we've not got this right, we could end up going down the wrong road. The narrow road will miss it. Because it will look too hard, too long. The wide road is the one we'll end up going down. Because we won't see the truth of what's going on. Blessed are the poor in spirit. It begins there. When we're ripped apart, emptied, say, oh Lord, I am poor in spirit. Oh, sinful man that I am, come to me and fill me, and he will. And then he pours in his new wine into the old wineskins. And so the lifelong process of being made holy begins. And I'm going to close, and I'm saying it again. Holy, 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 and it's gone. The modern church likes a good knees up, it likes a gig. It doesn't like the holiness of Almighty God. And lots of modern teaching is coming out with this more and more. And I'm telling you, as your vicar standing in this empty church when it's full, I will oppose it till the dying breath I have. Because it's wrong. This is the gospel. That we cannot do it ourselves. That we have no power to command the spirits and the fates. That's God's power. We come to him and do as he says. And when he commands, we go. For this is the Lamb of God that takes away the sins of the world. His shoes I am not worthy to untie. Oh, Lord Jesus, said Peter, go away from me, I'm a sinful man. What's Jesus' response? Come, and I will make you fishers of men. So, surprise, surprise, you believers, dance around your living room. Worship him with all you've got, but know where the glory goes. And if you're watching and you're not a believer, of course I'm going to ask you why not. What are you going to do with him who sat down to teach? You've got to make a decision. Was he just a nice teacher who taught lovely things? Was he, and this is what I hate more than anything else, and I've seen this, where he looks like Che Guevara, like he was some kind of left-wing revolutionary. No, Che Guevara killed people. Jesus walked away when they tried to make him king. It's a different thing. Jesus is not a left-wing woke revolutionary seeking to overthrow. He was the Son of God who came to pay a price beyond any price. And no society, even this great free one, is going to be perfect this side of the kingdom of God. That's not to say we don't struggle against unrighteousness and injustice. Of course we do. But it's to say, where in essence is it that we build? Where is this chunk that goes deep like a root that won't be blown over by the wind? I'm suggesting it's in him. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you who are poor in spirit. I've got to say this sermon has hurt me deeply. It's been a struggle to preach it, because so many things come back at me. And it's one word, one verse, isn't it? And yet it holds pregnant with so much meaning. Poor in spirit. Not woe is me again, woe is me, no. Not, oh, I'm great. It's the middle ground of God saying, you're my child and I paid for you. And I keep repeating it because I have to, because it matters. It's the essence of the gospel. And if we know this, and we come to him in that kind of faith, then this prosperity gospel goes out the window. All these teachings go because we know they're false, and we know that their teachers are false. They are not anointed. They don't sit down and teach as the Lord taught. They don't have the things of God in mind. They are the false prophets of Jeremiah. They are not the Lord's anointed. The Lord anoints those who come to him like this, in poor in spirit. I'm going to stop there. Poor in spirit, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. But while we are on this earth, while we do live and breathe and worship, may government of the people, by the people, for the people, never perish from the face of this earth. And that takes us Christians to be involved. To be poor in spirit, but be involved, have our voice, and be not frightened of raising it in the public square. Even if mockery comes, even if leaders tell us to shut up and go home, he has called us to follow him. Poor in spirit, though we are, the kingdom of heaven is ours. Amen. Ken's got a song for us. Build this house. Lest the Lord builds the house, the builders labour in vain. It's at the back of our church, it's on stone. The Lord builds, otherwise it's in vain. Thanks, Ken.